Hector P. Valenti enters the theater through the kitchen and starts to walk without any stops. He passes people. Some of them seem to recognize him, while others don't. The ones who know him try to make him stop, but he is determined to go on the big stage. It's the talent show he wants to perform in, but he has already been rejected. As soon as he gets on the stage, he is thrown out. Hector is a failed magician who can do wonders, but still has lost his shine. Disappointed, he walks into an animal store. As he is waiting for the shop owner to return, Hector hears a voice singing. The voice is melodious and goes in to look for its source. Enchanted by it, he walks to the back of the store and finds out that the voice doesn't belong to a human, but to a crocodile in a cage. Hector opens the cage and lets him out. The creature looks at him innocently, and Hector knows he must bring him home. Hector names him Lyle and urges him to sing, but the creature is small and wants to sleep all day. Hector doesn't force him. Instead, he gently wraps him in his muffler. The kindness shown does its work, and Lyle starts singing. As they practice, Lyle not only sings, but dances as well. He is a performer. With time, Lyle grows, and so the day comes when they must perform. Hector begs the show's manager to let him perform on his stage, and if it fails, he'll give them the money. As they get on the stage to perform, and Lyle sees the sea of people, he gets anxious and not a single word leaves his mouth, but Hector is kind. He doesn't blame Lyle. Instead, he leaves him with nothing but only his muffler and promises to come back when he has enough money. Time has passed, and a new family moves in. They are introduced to their unpleasant neighbor who happens to have a beautiful cat. Their son Josh goes to pet it, but changes his mind. It's his first night in the new home, and the noises from above scare him. He goes up to the attic, and there he sees a stiff crocodile encased in a wooden enclosure. Attached to it is a note from Hector that says to take care of his Lyle. Thinking it's nothing, Josh walks back, and Lyle finally lets out the breath he was holding in. Josh is nervous about his first day at school. He absent-mindedly walks in the middle of a music video that is being shot by some teenagers. They give him weird looks and leave. First day of his school, and he is already an outcast. Back at home, he is looking at the profile of a girl from earlier when his neighbor's cat enters his bedroom through an open window. He hears someone singing from above and goes up to investigate, and the cat follows. It's Lyle, but this time he doesn't pretend to be dead. Instead, Josh sees him moving and falls back. Cat tries to attack him, but when Lyle opens his mouth, he slides right into his stomach. Lyle is scared and runs, but Josh chases him. He loses Lyle in an alley, and a drunken man comes out from the darkness. He tries to attack Josh, but Lyle is watching from the shadows. He comes out and scares the man away. Josh looks at him in wonder, and Lyle vomits out the cat. Before Josh can talk to him, Lyle runs away. The next day, Josh is already by Lyle's side when he wakes up. He is happy that he has a pet now and doesn't seem to care that it's a crocodile. This time he is different. He isn't as anxious as before and confidently walks into the train. Lyle walks down from the attic and is messing around with kitchen utensils when Josh's mom walks in. He quickly hides before he can be seen. From above the ceiling, he sees Josh's mom crying as she sees the old video of her and Josh. To make her feel better, Lyle leaves candies at her doorstep, but she throws them away. At school, Josh is reading about crocodiles when Trudy, the same girl who was dancing, walks by. Upon asking, he reveals that he has a pet crocodile. As expected, she doesn't believe him. Later, much to Josh's surprise, Trudy sends him a friend request. He gladly accepts it. Mrs. Prim is Josh's stepmom and feels left out of his life as he is growing up. But Mr. Prim comforts her and tells her that she is and always will be a big part of his life. At night, Lyle takes Josh with him and they hide in a dumpster. Cat is also with them. They collect food from the trash, and as they sit together to eat, Josh tells him about his actual mother, who passed away when he was only 2. Lyle remembers Hector as he hears this and touches the scarf that he still wears. Josh asks him if he talks, and instead, Lyle sings. They dance and celebrate life, and just like that, the night passes by. The next day, when Mrs. Prim cannot find Josh in his room, she goes up to the attic, and the sight truly horrifies her. Josh and Lyle are cuddling as they sleep, Seeing this, she screams and pulls Josh by his hand and makes a run for the door. Lyle gets in front of her and does what he is best at. He sings, and it surely works as she calms down. Mrs. Prim is about to tell his father, but stops when Josh mentions he has found a new friend. She walks into her home and goes up with a broom as her weapon. She opens the door and runs back as soon as she sees Lyle taking a bath. Lyle doesn't know what to do and instead passes her the candies. She picks it up and realizes he was the one leaving candies at her door. He sings and dances with her, and soon she too is wooed by Lyle's charm. Mr. Grumps has installed cameras everywhere so he can keep an eye on his neighbor's movement. Mr. Prim comes out and sees Josh and his wife laughing and eating pizza. He sees her happier and wonders if she is seeing someone else, but it's far from what he thinks. She takes him to Josh's room, and there he sees Lyle. He is shocked beyond words. Father acts the same way as Mrs. Prim did. He runs for the door, and as he opens it, there at his doorstep stands Hector. Yes, he is back. He barges in with no care, and as Lyle sees him, he turns his back. He is mad at him for leaving for so long. Hector claps and waits for Lyle to do the same. At first, he doesn't, but cannot resist. He jumps into him, and they both fall back as he starts licking Hector. Mr. Prim still doesn't understand what's happening, but he has calmed down. Hector makes a deal where he is allowed to stay in the house for 15 days. Turns out Mr. Prim isn't Hector's biggest fan and wants him out of the house as soon as possible. They go out and take Hector and Lyle along with them. People stare at this unusual group of people, but Hector doesn't care about them and remains unbothered. They have the best time together as they all come closer. Mr. Prim goes up to the attic to check the boiler, and Lyle follows him. He throws his boxing shirt at him and urges him to fight, a dream Mr. Prim abandoned a long time ago. He laughs as they do, as he gets to live his glory days, and Lyle voluntarily loses. Their lives are changed forever since the day Lyle and Hector came into their lives. Hector is performing some of his magic tricks when Josh asks them to perform their song. They do, and everyone in the family is mesmerized. Hector proposes that they should start performing again. Lyle doesn't agree as he doesn't want to, but when Hector sings for him, urging him to, he reluctantly agrees. Josh can see that Lyle doesn't want to, but he cannot stop them from leaving. Josh is pacing in the lounge when they return. Hector looks distressed and goes straight into his room. Lyle walks closely behind, and as soon as Josh sees him, he hugs him, letting him know it'll be all right. Mr. Prim is walking into the neighborhood meeting when he sees Hector being thrown out of the car. He doesn't explain, but goes straight in. The neighborhood has decided to throw them out for loud noises, but just at that moment, Hector walks in. Mr. Grumps and Hector seem to know each other, and there he reveals that Grumps has set up the camera without anyone's consent. The meeting is canceled, but before Hector can leave, Grumps holds him back for a talk. Hector comes back, and everyone in the family thanks him for saving their house. He goes up promising to come back, but the family hears the siren as soon as he leaves. Upon checking, they see that animal control is here. They hide Lyle from them. Josh goes up to look for Hector, but he is already gone. Down police are surrounding Lyle, pointing their guns at him. He is scared and holds his tail for protection. Josh asks him to sing, but he is too afraid. They take him away, and the family can only watch silently. They take Lyle to the zoo, where he is forced to live with other crocodiles. Josh comes to visit him and begs his parents to help him escape. They know that they can't, but Josh is determined to free him. Lyle has changed him, and he isn't scared anymore. Night turns into day as the sun comes and goes, but Lyle stays behind bars in the museum. Hector travels in buses, but looks sad as melancholy engulfs him. All of them remember their days spent together, but cannot do anything. Even Mr. Grump's cat doesn't eat anything as he misses his friend Lyle. In school, Trudy sees Josh brooding and walks up to him. She gives him hope and tells him not to give up as miracles happen when you least expect them. After dinner, Josh goes out to throw the trash away, and there he sees Hector waiting. He explains he owes money to a lot of people. That's why he keeps leaving. Hector tells him to meet at the museum at night. When Josh doesn't show up, Hector goes in alone. He smartly handcuffs the security guard and enters the enclosure. The crocodiles come out, and menacingly walk toward Hector. Just at the right time, Josh shows up. Lyle is angry, but Hector tells him that Josh is his true family. He apologizes for his behavior and he lets him out. As they are leaving, police cars surround them. Hector tells them to go as he distracts the police. They have to show the world Lyle's true abilities, so he isn't treated like an animal. They travel on a bike to the same theater, where Lyle couldn't perform before. They have to make their way to the talent show set and run before the police can catch them. His parents also come for their support. Trudy is also there and helps them to enter. As everyone sees a crocodile approaching the set, no one dares to stop them. They walk onto the stage without any resistance. Police are also there ready to capture them. Lyle sees the crowd and freezes. Josh begs him to sing. Josh sings the same song off key that Hector wrote, and everyone laughs, but as Lyle sees his friend being embarrassed, he gets over his fear and takes the mic. Finally, Lyle sings. He sings and everyone who is laughing jump from their seats and start dancing. Trudy and her crew also walk on the stage and start dancing. Hector sees this from the jail and cannot help but be proud of him. The trial begins, and Mr. Grumps argue that Lyle should be thrown back into the zoo. Hector surprisingly walks in with the documents that say years ago their house was allowed to host any exotic animal of their liking, and as a result of such proof, they win. Hector and Lyle become a permanent part of the family, and they live together happily.